Good afternoon. Now that everybody's full of peach cobbler, hopefully a little coffee will kick in and we'll enjoy our next presentation. Rocco Pellegrinelli began his career as a portfolio manager, and he's been a successful entrepreneur in the technology sector for the past 2 decades. He created BrainPower in 1996, and as chairman and CEO, established it as one of the top portfolio management systems used globally. After taking the company public on the Frankfurt Stock Exchange in 2000, BrainPower was acquired by Bloomberg in 2006. His vision is encapsulated by the view, many analytical tools make sense, but do they also make money? It is time to bring real value to fund managers. Rocco believes that the asset and wealth management industry needs to evolve toward a higher standard of value to clients, efficiency, and cost effectiveness. Adopting new data and sophisticated tools is the only solution. That's why he created Trend Rating. Rocco launched Trend Rating with a mission to provide innovative analytics and first-class technology that deliver alpha in measurable, actionable, repeatable, and unquestionable ways. As of today, Trend Rating serves thousands of PMs worldwide. Trend Rating unique proprietary solutions are used as part of their investment decision-making process in asset management, wealth management, private banking, advisory, and hedge fund fields to maximize returns and better control risk. Trend Rating key strategic partners include Bloomberg, Euronext, and FactSet. In 2020, Trend Rating has been selected by Industry Tech Outlook as one of the top 10 fintech solution providers to watch. It's the same year that Rocco was nominated as one of the 10 best innovative leaders by Digitech Insight. In response to Trend Rating success, Rocco is also a NASDAQ contributor to their advisor portal. Obviously, I was clueless. I've been waiting to shake Rocco's hand. Rocco is going to join us virtually, and Justin, his colleague, is going to assist with the movement of slides. Bill Rice, down here next to Justin, is a Trend Rating advocate and fan. So without further ado, take it away, Rocco.
Thank you. Thank you, Nicole. Thank you, everyone, for attending this. Well, it all comes from my personal experience as a fund manager for quite a few years in Switzerland. I was used to keep my mistake book, writing down my mistakes and checking out at the end of every year, just to discover that I was prone to the very same mistakes all the time, exiting prematurely winners because I thought, it was too extreme, and at the same time holding on some positions because I believe I'm right, the market is wrong. Ultimately, I will be vindicated. Well, at some point I said there should be a better way. There should be a better way, and that's when I started developing timing, exploring, testing models. The idea was, if I can have a bit more discipline in my decision process, if I can test and validate ideas, maybe I can gain some edge. And that was it's 1 century ago. And at the end, I said, okay, I want to bring this to people like me. Managers need better tools. The pool is served by too many vendors. It's time to offer something fresh and new that can add some value, some real measurable value to the game. So we're talking today about challenges and opportunities in this new market regime. Next slide, please. All right. So it's pretty clear that the bear market is here. It's here to stay. It's here to bite hard. Some experts believe that we should expect a decade of lower returns. analysts call it a regime change. And history shows that investment strategies that work in bull markets may not be effective in flat or bear markets. This is all information we can gather from BlackRock, Guggenheim, and many other players. Something to think about. Next, please. Okay, so the new regime. The last time we had a low regime situation was 2000, 2009, where the annualized return for the Dow Jones was around a miserable 0.7% a year. What about this time? How long can it last? What we can expect? Well, no one has the answer. Nobody can forecast at all, but everyone should and can prepare a plan for the new regime. Next. So, what we can reasonably expect to work and not work. If indices are going to go nowhere, up, down, well, investing in indices and passive products is not going to yield much. What will work is probably intelligent, pragmatic, well-conceived active management. And the solution is exploiting the performance dispersion across stocks and sectors that is part of the market at any time, in any cycle. The dispersion is a gold time for smart active managers that have the right tools to discriminate the winners between the losers. What we see here, for example, is some statistics over the last 6 months. Take a look at this. United States large and mid-cap stocks. The mid 50% is down around 8%, which is probably in line with the number of benchmarks for the last 6 months. But the top 25% performers, on average, produce a gain of 32%. You're talking about the average. It's more than 900 securities that posted sizable gains, quite impressive. At the same time, what about the losers? The bottom 25% recorded an average loss of 38%. So that's the dispersion that is repeated, recurrent, every time. And that's where active managers can exploit and profit this fantastic opportunity. On the right, you can see the dispersion across sectors. Very interesting. So, how to handle this? Next slide, please. How to exploit the dispersion? We can expect to have a market that is more selective for quite a few years. So the question we should ask, what are the metrics, the selection rules that work better? It is important to be able to test, validate, compare all those metrics and make sure that you have the right plan. In our opinion, a combination of well-tested fundamentals and price trend validation is the way forward. 1 + 1 makes 3. And thank God today, leading-edge technology is available that can enable investors to explore, test, learn, and discover more effective combinations for adequate investment strategies that can prosper in a new regime. Next slide, please. Okay. We have developed over the years technology that makes possible for people to pick any parameters they want, design a strategy, test, optimize. This is just an example of a strategy. It is possible to create and validate growth strategies, value strategies, a combination of both with our technology. Here is an example. A very simple strategy investing in the US stocks from the 700 largest cap stocks, selecting on a monthly basis 50 holdings that satisfy one very simple basic rule: the best 3 months earnings growth. And other things being equal, we prefer to invest here in largest market cap. With our solution, it's possible to test this up to 10 years and to produce statistical data. In this case, what we see is an expected return in the past of around 15%, which is around 5 points above the benchmark. Not bad at all. But maybe we can do better just by adding more layers of selection. Next slide. This time, we just are adding one rule more to the selection process. We're happy to have the highest earnings growth first, but also we want to have the highest sales growth securities, combining earnings and sales growth at the same time. And the result is an increase, as you can see. Now we're up 16.5%, a robust 6 points above the benchmark. A nice improvement. What about trying to do even better? Next slide, please. And here, that's what we suggest. What about adding some trend intelligence? Because acknowledging and respecting trends is key to successful investing. That's where we bring the value of our methodology of rating, where we simply offer a rating A, B, mark bull trends, C and D identify bear trends. So in this case, I'm adding a third layer of selection by designing a strategy that is investing only in stocks that are positively rated. So stocks that are supposed to start a bull trend and avoiding stocks falling. You may have a lot of great fundamental stories that for some reason are going down. You don't know. It's the nature of the market, more sellers than buyers. And again, in this case, testing, using our system and testing this strategy across 10 years shows that apparently you can have an 18% return, 18.5. So we gain another 2 points to the last version of the strategy. So what I want to prove with this is that it's interesting and useful to experiment combinations of different fundamental elements, and if you like, also to add a layer of trend control. We call it trend risk control. In this market regime, we strongly believe that it is critical to test, validate, compare, and build up a winning strategy, checking more boxes. Next slide, please. So, as usual in life, challenges create opportunities because challenges force thinking about how can I improve? How can I handle the new difficulties? Which is great. That's part of life. That's how we grow. That's how we evolve. So our recommendation is go beyond the conventional tools that you are using and the assumptions. Those assumptions that work very well in the bull trend may be a problem moving forward. Leverage best-in-class solutions that have been developed recently. Unlock your full potential. Create your own winning strategy. And go to the facts. Analyze deeply the true value of the different metrics. So we make possible for people, finally, to be more in control by designing themselves their own strategies, test, compare, optimize, validate, document, and sell and personalize as much as you like. And if you like, also consider as an additional layer beyond the fundamental data to add an element of trend validation to discriminate trends and profit from performance dispersion. Next slide, please. This is just an example of some of the outperformers, proving the performance dispersion opportunity. Now, all these bull trends have been captured by our rating model. That is far from perfect, but has a nice reliability of above 78% in capturing big trends up and down. Next slide, please. All right. So all the conference attendees are welcome to receive a free trial of Trend Rating and see if this can work for them. And we have Justin, that is representing Trend Rating, that is going to be very happy to talk to you and tell more and organize follow-up if you like. Thank you for your attention. I will welcome now any question if you like. Thanks.
Who has a question for Rocco?
Hey, my name is Eric. On the hypothetical chart that you were displaying earlier with the 3-month earnings growth and so forth, how often is that being rescreened, or is that just a static one-time run and then rebalanced?
Good question. So our engine makes possible to simulate a rebalancing on a weekly, monthly, and quarterly basis. By the way, you might discover not much difference between monthly and quarterly rebalancing because our approach tries to capture the medium to long-term trends. Those trends that last from a few months up to a few years. So it is all in the hands of the user to decide what is the rebalancing rules, the allocation, the constraints. We offer a pretty flexible solution to facilitate, to accommodate any kind of design and approach. Now, what is interesting is the observation of trends. We did a massive test of trends in order to build up the model. And I'll tell you something more about the model if you like. We tested 20 years of history for 18,000 securities to discover that stocks are amazing because when you have a bull trend, how long can it last? How far can it go? And we discovered that 50% of the time you have a bull trend, it lasts well more than 6 months and produces more than 50%. 19% of the time, it lasts more than a year and produces a return of well above 100%. So 1 stock out of 5, when you have a bull trend, can more than double in price. And the idea is just to capture a part of those winners and of course to avoid the losers.
Rocco, question for you. I know that like the third strategy, you selected the quartiles based on the one that had the greatest either earnings growth or sales growth. Right? I'm curious, like if you were to apply that rule, but limited yourself to different sectors, like for instance, let's say strong earnings growth, strong sales growth, a more reliable signal, let's say in technology than it is in consumer products, than it is in energy, than it is in some other sector? Does it do a better job of picking winners in some industry sector as opposed to some others?
That's a very good point. Usually it is possible to do 2 layers of analysis and therefore strategy building. One is say at the sector level. And what we have here is an aggregated number or rating about sectors. For example, today we see that in the US, a very strong sector is healthcare, which is rising, solid, while technology is still a bit struggling. But at the same time, at the level of individual stocks can be another story. So we usually recommend using the 2 layers. First, do an analysis across sectors, identify the strongest sectors using our methodology, if you like, and do a ranking about sectors. But then after you decide the allocation, you can pick big winners, okay, in every sector by using, the second layer of analysis, which is at the individual stock level. Maybe I should add something about giving you a sense of beyond the fundamentals. And it's interesting because fundamentals, are critical. You want to invest in strong stocks, right? You want to have strong stories. That's obvious. But what are the fundamentals that are most rewarded in this environment? Who knows? And we tell people, look, use the system, even only with fundamental metrics, all the value and growth metrics that we are used to consume, and see what can be the right combination. You might discover, for example, that combining value and growth is very interesting because it can reduce the volatility thanks to value, but at the same time can still push returns thanks to growth right now at this juncture in the market. And then I say, look, that's fine, everything is okay, but look, we want to buy stocks that are moving upward. We don't want to buy stocks that for some reason they're going down because some big players is selling, okay? And then you have the momentum players jumping in, and then you have the short sellers, come on. So adding a second layer of, say, filter of trends, where after you select the very good, strong, fundamental stories, you say, right, I want to have the trend on my side. Certainly can make a difference, as we have seen in this very, very simple example, but many more examples we can bring easily, and you can test yourself using the system. If you like to take a trial, you can play yourself and see how amazing is, the possibility to build up different combinations and discover very, very interesting things.
Next. Anyone else?
Maybe I can share with you some of the questions that more frequently we receive from our users. So some people say, okay, fine, fundamentals, I know. What about your trend rating model? What's behind it? What's the black magic behind it? It's not black magic. It's very simple, straightforward combination of some of the most reliable technical analysis indicators, all combined together. Out of our long test and experience, we discovered that a number of indicators measuring price and volume can identify the flow in and out of money in stocks. It's a way to capture buyers and sellers and understand if this is sustainable or not. But then we figured out that by combining different indicators was more robust. You want to have the confirmation from various points of view to make sure that you avoid false signals. So at the end of the day, our model is based on 8 different indicators. In order to have an A, we want to have the confirmation of all the 8 indicators. In order to have a negative reading, which is a C or a D, you need to have the majority of them to be negative. And this brings some more accuracy and reliability to the system. There are many tools available to try and capture trends. And we believe that some of them, unfortunately, are too volatile. Others can be a bit too late, like momentum. So what we try to do here is offering something that is quicker to identify trends and is more robust. The last thing I want to mention is a question we often have: how can I use it? Okay, you can use at the end of the process. You can say, I want to validate ideas, and if the trend is positive, I go for the investment, or I just invest more. If the rating is negative, I probably can invest less because probably the trend is not right. On the other hand, we have people that like to use it at the beginning of the process, identifying, spotting new investment opportunities. And our system provides a number of alerts, which means upgrades from negative to positive. And we are seeing an interesting increase of upgrades in specific sectors in the US over the last few weeks, despite the fact that indices are very weak. That means that there is an interesting reallocation of money. The money is not leaving the stock market at all. It's just readjusting and selecting more carefully the investments. at the level of sectors and individual stocks. Thank you.
Rocco, thank you very much.
Thank you all. Thank you all. Big pleasure.
Bill Rice, can I surprise you for a moment? I have. What would you like to share with the group about your use of trend ratings?
Of 8 years. 8 years, I was introduced to trend rating, maybe longer than that, Harvey, through PMI. And I've found them over the years, their ability to identify an upward trend early on. Justin here has helped me quite a bit in building out screens and things where I can go in and look at my portfolios and see how they're behaving and how they're rating. Recently, we talked about ranking, the ranking tab, and it will automatically rank whatever you put in it. And catching kind of, it's similar to what Jeff's platform does on bottom fishing, but catching outliers that are ranked at the bottom, like a bottom fishing, and catching them in an upward momentum that would eventually be upgraded to probably a B.
Each day, how much time do you spend on trend ratings?
Each day, I spend about, with this ranking tab, I don't need to spend a lot of time at all. About an hour a week, I'll go in and look at it 2 to 3 times a week just to check.
Does the system help you avoid mistakes?
Yes.
I'm sure. What are the mistakes?
I don't like to tell mistake stories. They do. No, what's really neat about the system is that if you've got something, and my mistake was I didn't sell something.
So I heard something earlier that the gentleman previously sitting in town mentions share, sometimes we love our things, but things don't love us.
Exactly.
This
takes trend rating will alert you to a change in trend both up and down. And my mistake was I had something downgraded to a C, which eventually gets downgraded to a B, and I didn't pull the trigger. Gosh, you guys were really early. They were really early on REITs. There's so much more. There's so much more that's out there in this that we didn't see today. You can go in and break down countries by sectors, and they've got a heat map that shows you what's positive, what's negative. It's really a fascinating tool. No, I don't.
Justin, thank you very much. I'm glad you're here. Okay. Board member 8-year user, advocate, and you've been working with Jeff Carbaz for about a year. So in my world, this is like a double dip cone. You're trying to find the best ones and to validate and to make sure that things are good. So one of the reasons we come here is to try to find ideas that can help us get better, right? Okay, so we've had trend ratings. Thank you, Justin. And Jeff Carbaz, thank you for quantitative partners. And are we due for another break, or are we due for, what do we got? So let's call an audible here. I think folks would like to have an opportunity to get on. Is Mr. Hatch here? He is. Okay, so it's 10 till 2. It's 10 till 2. Can we come back at 5 after 2? 15 minutes?